I grew up in a Catholic household for first 9 years of my life, and it was pretty much from the outside looking in. It was pretty much a perfect family. Dad went to work, and Mom stayed at home with the kids. But really, on the inside, when no one was looking, it was pretty much crazy. My dad was a alcoholic at the time, and he was always drinking. It was his thing that he did all the time, and as a result of that alcoholism, he would always, take it out on my mom and my siblings and stuff, and it just was never really just right. And we went through a lot as a family. The day after my 9th birthday, my parents divorced, and my dad moved out, and it was something else. As a 9-year-old boy, who looked up to his dad, even though he was an alcoholic. At the time, I didn't really know there's anything else but that as a child. It was pretty devastating to see my dad walk out and not really see him again for 6 months or so. And he continued to drink even after they divorced, so when we'd go visit him in downtown Atlanta every other weekend or so, he would still drink, he'd still go out with friends and come back, and there'd be mornings where I'd have to, as a 10, 11-year-old boy, wake up to get cereal for the morning or whatever, and have to step over my passed out dad in the living room to get to the bowls and spoons and stuff like that. However, things got a little better. As a court ruling, my dad was never allowed to touch alcohol again when he was with us, and from that day on, ever since I've seen him, he has ultimately not touched alcohol when we've been around him. So that's really, really awesome. However, through that all, I was really just angry with God as a child, really just furious with what he would make my family go through the alcoholism, through the abuse, and through the just the nights where I just pretty much cry myself to sleep as a little boy. And, I was just really just frustrated and just, how can there be a God if he made me go through this? However, when I was about 12 years old, 3 ladies asked my mom to go to the church that I currently go to, 12 Stone Church, and all in the same day, and she dragged me along, unfortunately, and it was, from then on, I've attended that church. However, I didn't really, get a life change until, probably like 13, 14 years old, towards the end of my middle school years. And even then, I was becoming more of a fan of Christ instead of a follower of Christ. It was cool to be a Christian, cool to go on the camps, and cool to get the T-shirts, and it was just fun, I guess. And I had my church friends, and then I had my real friends that I kind of kept off to the side or whatever, that didn't come to church with me or anything. And, well, as I got into high school, those friends became addicted to drugs. They became, started to drink and started to do all the bad things most high school kids do these days. And I unfortunately went along with them. I never really did the drugs or anything like that my freshman year in high school. However, I was still with them. I was still with them when we got busted by the cops, still with them when we got busted by our parents and all that stuff. And it was really just an eye-opener my freshman year. Like, do I really want to live the rest of my high school year like this? And I started to really just think more about some changes I need to make. And my sophomore year came, and 2 of my best friends today, a guy named Mike and Kenny, came up, and they were juniors at the time, and they were just like, they went to my church, and they're like, we should just start hanging out more. And so ever since then, they pretty much just pulled me aside, and were just like, this guy is just, going down the wrong path, and we're going to make sure he makes the best out of his life. And so they started pouring into me as best as juniors and seniors could at that time, and we just really started having just the time of our lives. Even 5 years, 6 years later now, I still call them once a week. We still hang out all the time. We go camping and backpacking, and really, they really challenged me to follow Christ instead of just becoming a fan of Christ. And I also joined this mentor group in my youth group at that time, where I was just really challenged in my faith, and I've always been one for challenges as a result of my dad's just constant just abuse, I guess you could say, at us. And ever since he there's a moment where he looked me in the eye and said, you know, you will never amount to be a man. And ever since then, I was just always like, you know, I will do everything I can to, you know, prove that to be wrong. And at the time, it was cool, but now I realize that was pretty much really unhealthy to do that. But it did push me in my faith to prove that I could be someone and I could do something. However, later I found that the only way I can be someone, be and do something is through Christ in me. So it was just really, that mentor group really just changed my life my junior year of high school. And ever since then, I've been through some pretty crazy times. My senior year in high school, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was also pulled out of school for a month as a result of that diagnosis. I had numerous MRIs, CAT scans, body scans, leg scans, arm scans, anything with a scan in it, I had it done. Numerous injections, just stuff, tests every single day of the week. It was ridiculous. And then really, there's just a moment in my church where a bunch of us just gathered, a bunch of people gathered around me and just prayed for me that, you know, something would happen. Either this cancer would go away or I would get better or whatever. And really, the next doctor's appointment I went to, they did the scan or whatever, and they're like, you know, we don't really know what all the other doctors were talking about because there's really nothing right now in your body that we could call cancerous or anything even close to it. And really, ever since that day, it was just really a moment where I looked at God as my healer and looked at God as my Father, because he was with me the entire time. I never once doubted that God was with me through those times with cancer. That month and a half of just to be honest, it was hell. I just went through so much, just different thoughts, but the thought never once came into my head that God left me, because I knew God was always there and I knew God was with me. And man, he really just healed me completely. To this day, I go through, you know, routine checkups every once in a while, and to this day I don't have any cancer in me at all. But yeah, it was cool to go through that. My life has been just a crazy just mix of just different tests through my father with alcoholism and then the cancer and just all that stuff. But really, the coolest part about my life is that God has been there with me through the entire thing, every single step of the way, from the mornings even when I didn't even really know him, where I had to step over my passed out dad to the sitting in the tube getting an MRI done. God was with me there the entire time. And so, yeah, as a result, I feel and called to be going into ministry, and I'm just really excited about what my life has. I wouldn't trade anything in my life because I've learned so much as a result of the things I've been through, and have had numerous opportunities to pour into other people and help them through their different situations. So, yeah, that's my story.